So let's figure out the best and worst matches of 2025 WWE pay-per-views. I'll also throw in Saturday night's main event, and because why not also the Netflix premiere on Raw, as it was built like a PLE. So let's start with exactly that. Worst match, Jey Uso vs Drew McIntyre. Let's be honest, this match really didn't need to happen here. The Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament finale, Dakota Kai vs Lara Valkyria, should have taken the spot. Also, the feud was over after this. Best match opened the card. Roman Reigns vs Solo Sikoa for the Ula Fala in tribal combat. They used the no DQ stipulation to great effect. Many run-ins caused chaos, but Roman survived all of it to slay the impostor at the head of the table and reclaim his position. Saturday night's main event, January. Worst match, easily Braun Strowman vs Jacob Fatu. The rivalry had so much potential, yet most of it was left untapped. They could have dragged this out until Wrestlemania for a monster clash, but instead Strowman's monsterness wasn't just undermined, it was deleted by a Jacob Fatu beatdown, a disappointing ending in DQ. Best match goes to Bron Breakker vs Sheamus for the IC title. Sheamus delivers bangers, we all know that. Breakker is competent to hold up his end. Action accompanied by legendary calls from Jesse Ventura taking issue with the ref.
He got the 3 count before that foot. The ref never saw it. He counted 3.
Royal Rumble next up. The Rumble matches certainly are hard to compare with regular matches. Worst match? The Women's Royal Rumble simply because of the winner. As fun as everything was leading up to the finish, Charlotte Flair as winner grinds my gears to this day. So glad she went through an character arc that made her somewhat likable again, but that came later. Best match, Cody Rhodes vs Kevin Owens in a ladder match. Screw that, this was an all-out war. Cody vs Kevin was for sure the best feud in Cody's first title reign. It was so intense. The finish was fittingly intense, with Cody practically murdering KO with that Alabama slam through the ladder. When thinking back to Elimination Chamber, one moment overshadows every match that happened on the show, but still all matches are pretty decent, so the worst match is more like the weakest link. It has to be Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus vs Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. It's a by the numbers tag team match with a legend on the babyface team. Nothing wrong with that, but the competition is simply too strong. Kevin Owens goes back to back with his match, this time against Sami Zayn, taking the cake. Once again very brutal, but also very personal with the history between Sami and Kevin. Re-establish the apron powerbomb as the killer move it absolutely is. Next up is actually Wrestlemania 41. Saturday 1st. Jey Uso vs Gunther probably did the most damage to one of the participating wrestlers. Gunther's aura took a major hit. Losing to Jey Uso wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but they made him tap out to his own finishing move. Gunther looked like a chump during the last stretch of the match, just eating one splash after the other. So the worst match opened the show, but the best one closed it. Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins vs CM Punk. These three put on 30 minutes of fast-paced triple threat action until Paul Heyman laid the foundation for the almost year of Seth Rollins. Night 2, Sunday. I was fairly disappointed with AJ Styles vs Logan Paul, but I have to give this to John Cena vs Cody Rhodes. It moved slowly and had a horrible finish. I mean, Cody can kick out of a super AA, but not a simple title shot. Just remember guys, never send a Travis Scott to do a The Rock job. Best match of this night, Rhea Ripley vs Io Sky vs Bianca Belair for the Women's World Championship. Is actually my match of the year, so I'm taking a moment to break it down in detail. Io is about to be brushed aside one more time, but she catches her opponent's arms like a badass. She immediately turns up the speed. Bianca dodges her charge with a moonsault and dishes out punches to both of her rivals. The match's great flow is proven by how the corner is utilized in this spot. Double blockbuster from Io and she attempts a double pin. Ripley is flying, Sky is flying. Belair proves why she's the strongest. Razor's Edge sends Io against Bianca. The powerhouses take each other out. Io with the bullet train meteoras. Mad Tower of Doom spot. Look at the reaction of the crowd here.
Flip up, Io Sky!
For a 50 splash, Riptide countered, Super Riptide countered. KOD and a massive "This is awesome" chant. KOD cover, the ref is counting. 1, 2, She's going to win, right? Nope. Io comes flying through the air with a moonsault, breaks up the pin and... My little rundown does little justice. You really need to check this match out for yourself. It's sub 15 minutes and free on YouTube. Moving on to Backlash, never had an easier time determining the worst match. It's Gunther vs Pat McAfee, who's clearly not a wrestler and therefore shouldn't steal valuable pay-per-view time from much more deserving stars. Pat just stick to commentary. Best match was contested for the best championship. What a coincidence. Fatal 4-way for the United States Championship. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest tweaked, Jacob Fatu went all gas, no breaks, 18 minutes of fun. Saturday night's main event, May. Women's United States Championship, a cursed belt. WWE gave the match between Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega, like 5 minutes? And then Zelina botched the 619, breaking Chelsea's nose, also very dangerous looking code red from the turnbuckle. I don't want to beat this dead horse any further, but the other matches aren't really standout either. I'm giving this out on a whim to Priest and McIntyre inside a steel cage. I mean, at least it had an interesting gimmick in steel cage. 2025's Money in the Bank was a lot more interesting. One of the matches got announced the same day of the event, Intercontinental title bout Dominic Mysterio vs Octagon Jr. Very rushed, nothing special. Distraction finish, this happened before Dominic found his footing with the IC title. Best match, perhaps controversial. I'm giving this to Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch for the women's Intercontinental strap. Match quality, surely not peak, but it did so much for the title and for Lyra. Becky saved the at the point new championship from vanishing into the shadow realm of irrelevance. And that post-match angle was great, with Lyra Valkyria at first swallowing her pride, but Becky pushing her past her breaking point.
Needs to know her place in the packing. Big time. Oh, look at this! No! Yeah!
Good shit. We're now at Night of Champions, a Saudi show. Take the women's Power Ranger suits away and these don't really feel like non-canon filler anymore. Asuka went into the finale of the Queen of the Ring tournament as a heel and Jade Cargill as the face, but the crowd loved Asuka, who got clapped in a botched finish. Looking back at this, it becomes hard to believe this woman was once undefeated for years. The King of the Ring tournament finally slept on the other hand. Cody Rhodes vs Randy Orton. Maddest shout out to Randy, who sold a back injury so believable I thought he was legit injured. This makes me believe that if Randy is motivated, he can act circles around Hollywood actors. I almost forgot July had a Saturday night's main event. I didn't really like any of the matches, so I'd say Randy Orton vs McIntyre goes worst because it buried McIntyre, and Rollins vs Knight goes best, despite it falling apart towards the end due to worked injuries. Evolution swings in the opposite direction, having not a single bad match so to speak of. A great card start to finish, so weakest link if I had to say, the Battle Royal, simply because it was hard to track what happens if so many people are entering. Best match without question, Io Sky vs Rhea Ripley. These two cooked for over 20 minutes. Insane crossbody spot topped off with Naomi cashing in to create her own heist of the century moment. Summerslam Night 1 next up. I'm taking the final nail in Karrion Kross's WWE career as the worst. The whole dragging Sami Zayn to the dark side just didn't quite work out, but Karrion got fired right after, so at least it did no long-term damage. Best match isn't much of a match, it's more of an angle. I'm picking Seth Rollins cash-in. It did result in a match even if it's just 12 seconds long. The cash-in came in as such a shock moment. I genuinely believed Seth to be injured, that bastard fooled us all. SummerSlam Night 2 is my favorite PLE of 2025, with very good competitions, but the weak link is pretty obviously the steel cage match between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. I thought this would be an easy W for the Samoan Werewolf, because the cage keeps the MFT out, but I was wrong. They still interfered and spoiled some of the fun. The SmackDown before SummerSlam, John Cena turned back face, and it finally felt good again to cheer Cena. The stadium did that. They went along with the 5-knuckle shuffle so loud. People outside of the stadium were able to hear it. Aside from that, Cody and Cena popped off and delivered an instant classic with a memorable AA on the ramp. Even the ring was partly destroyed in the end. Now we're back in France for Clash in Paris, and all fingers point to Becky Lynch vs Nikki Bella for worst match, but nah, that shit was hilarious. I'm giving this to the tag team title match. It came out of nowhere, had no build, Dawkins and Ford beefed with each other out of nowhere, routine defense for the Wyatts, nothing more. Best match goes to John Cena and Logan Paul. They put on a simple but great traditional wrestling match. Technically sound, clear face-heel dynamic, overall wonderful execution. And look at how exhausted Cena was after the bell rang, having left everything in the fight. Oh, Wrestlepalooza. It has Cena dropping from best match straight to worst match. John Cena vs Brock Lesnar was a total waste of time, of the little time Cena had left at the point. At least the entrance was cute. There is one standout match on Wrestlepalooza that worked overtime, trying to redeem the show, and that was Io Sky vs Stephanie Vaquer. The ever-flying Sky found an equal in Vaquer, who's just as skilled in navigating the airspace. Also, sick finisher. Correct winner in the end for the vacant gold. Vaquer's rise was just meteoric at that point in time. The very next event, Crown Jewel, is once again top to bottom solid. I have to dig deep to find something worthy to be called the worst. And I guess it goes to Bronson Reed vs Roman Reigns, as they could have utilized the street fight stipulation more and maybe have a cleaner finish. Nitpicking here. John Cena bounces back from the worst back to best. His match with AJ Styles was pure gold. Essentially it was just two veteran wrestlers having fun for half an hour. If analyzed like a traditional wrestling match, it's ridiculously stupid. But all the reference moves from other great wrestlers built the match to be a different kind of great. Something unique that isn't comparable with, say, Shawn Michaels vs The Undertaker, but still great nonetheless. Saturday night's main event, November. Worst match, Cody Rhodes vs Drew McIntyre. The feud McIntyre vs Rhodes seemed kinda cursed in 25. It improved in 26, but this particular outing in November was a mid-match with a bullshit finish. Continuing the cycle of McIntyre whining and whining. Best match, Intercontinental Championship, Penta vs Rusev vs Dominic Mysterio. This happened while Dominic was at the peak of his IC defense shenanigans, creatively cheating left and right, bringing back Eddie Guerrero vibes. It was a great period for the young Mysterio. The period came to an end shortly after by the hands of John Cena, leading me to Survivor Series War Games. Worst match, John Cena vs Dominic Mysterio. It was heartbreaking for one, but what bothers me most is that WWE didn't do much with Cena as IC champion, so they rushed to get the belt of Mr. Hustle Loyalty Respect. Best match, I'd say the Women's War Games. Gotta say, the magic of War Games has worn off. I can't remember much of both the women's and men's version, but I remember Io's trash can spot, which is more than I can say for the men's version. So here we are, Saturday night's main event, December, with the subtitle John Cena's final match. Obviously it's not the worst match on the card. I'd give that to Cody vs Oberfemi, not because it was bad, none of the matches of the event were, but it's the only one without a proper finish due to McIntyre interference. Best match, like there was any other option, Gunther vs John Cena. For a final time they pulled out everything great about John Cena, and every move landed that much harder. Cena tapping with a smile in the end was poetic. Mr. Never Give Up finally giving up. But did he give up? It more seemed like a alright, I'm done, I'm leaving, and I'm leaving on my own terms. Gunther can run his mouth all he wants that Cena tapped like a bitch, but in reality Cena took exactly that away from him. Heartbreaking, but good stuff. This is everything I have to say. Let me know what you think in the comments. You've been watching Double Double.
The best things in wrestling.